few things. They've revamped and developed many new policies and procedures, brought our communication and data infrastructure into the 21st century, extensively restructured the budget, moved to a new accounting system, completed the reappraisal process, orchestrated the renovation of our new municipal offices and community resource center, developed a plan for dealing with the long-term effects of the emerald ash borer infestation, and navigated so many other things. I mean, it's just been a very, very busy year. They have every single one of them, done an incredible job, and I just want to thank them all. Marlene Hall, Melanie Dexter, Gina Janks, Jen Holly, Mike Yanati, who's probably not here, and his crew, Tiffany Mays, Holly Ban, and Josh Brace. You've all been absolutely wonderful. And as anybody who read the town report saw, we are really grateful to resident architect Ben Benedict. Ben, where are you? I know you're here someplace. He's over there. Thank you. He has donated an incredible number of professional hours to designing and redesigning again, and then overseeing the reconstruction efforts in the new building. It's amazing what he has done. We began 2 new annual town events this year: the Holiday Tractor Parade and the Halloween Dog Costume and Parade. May we have many more new traditions. And on a more somber note, it's become clear, as David was referencing, that the presence of PFOAs in the area's wells is more widespread than we knew. And what that really means is not that it's spreading, but that it's reaching into lower wells as we go along and into more wells. So we don't know where that's going to take us, but we've held a lot of private and public meetings about it, and the town is committed to making sure that everybody in town has drinkable, safe water. However, we have to do that. We have, in the meantime, just last week, entered into a contract with the law firm Barr Sternberg, Moss, Silver, and Munson to represent the town with reference to contamination of ground and drinking water caused by the company St. Gobain. It's a contingency-based contract, so the attorney fees and everything else will be paid for out of a settlement should the settlement occur, and the town will not be liable for any money on this. We're looking forward to moving to the new building very shortly and being fully functional there by late spring. About Cole Hall. The Community Center Development Committee, which has been working exclusively on the new building over this last year, is now turning its attention to the future of the town green and our use of Cole Hall. Public input will be being systematically sought in the coming weeks, and volunteers are sought to assist the town in grant writing and fundraising and planning these things. So let me say that again. If you have any interest in or expertise in fundraising, grant writing, or planning, please make yourself available to your town. We need you right now. And Cole Hall needs you, because saving that building is going to be a real project and a real effort. I will be back to give a little introduction to the budget when we get to that, but I think there's some other items on the agenda, right?
What's that now? I'm sorry?
I think there's some other things before we get to the budget, so, yes? I don't know, you tell me.
Oh, yeah. So, because you don't want to talk about the budget at that point.
I'll talk about the budget whenever you want.
Okay, yeah, when we get to the, under that article. I have to parse what everybody's going to say because it's got to fit under certain articles and all that sort of stuff in here. Okay. On that, we're still talking about the different articles, or the first article, which has to do with hearing the reports of the town officers and taking action thereon. Something incidental. There was something left out of the minutes from last year. Michael Biddy, Michael, are you out there? Could you come up to the microphone?
Hi, I'm Michael Biddy, and can I speak to this?
Yes, yep.
I
Please.
offered a resolution as a sense of the group meeting here last year. It was only 5 lines long. It was left out of, it was a unanimous voice vote in favor of it. I would like to have it included in a correction to the minutes in next year's town report at a minimum, but it should be recognized for what it was. It is the sense of the gathered citizens of Shaftsbury, Vermont, at our town floor meeting of this March 3rd, 2025, that all supply and/or funding by the U.S. government of weapons and military and logistical assistance to the regime of Israel must cease as long as Israel is engaged in the genocide of the Palestinian people, especially in the Palestinians' rightful homelands. And it should have been in the minutes.
And I think you gave me a copy of that, what you just read.
I did.
And that was, it's a non-binding resolution. It was passed at the meeting last year under other business, and it wasn't included in the minutes. So you're just asking that it be included in the minutes for
That's
last
correct.
year.
That's correct.
Okay. Now that it's in today, it'll be same thing as being in last year, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Any other... Let's see, any other comments or questions about the reports of the town officers? You ready to vote on accepting them? All those in favor of accepting the reports of the town officers as presented in the town report signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, the next Article 2, shall the town authorize collection of taxes on real or personal property by its treasurer, which are due in hand on or before Tuesday, November 10th at 5 p.m., or likewise postmarked no later than November 10th? I would entertain a motion to that effect. Can somebody make that motion? Got it. How about a second? Second. Okay, so we'll open the floor for discussion or questions or debate, but I want to ask our treasurer, Melanie, could you come up and you can come right up here to the front, please, and address some of the stuff that goes on with that.
Yep. Hi, everybody. I have 3 points I want to make that are really important for this year. We do accept postmark, as Tom just said, but you should be aware that the post office is not postmarking mail the instant it goes into the mail stream. Sometimes it's taking 2 or even 3 extra days to go to a bulk mail center. That's the point at which it gets postmarked. So if you are somebody who likes to wait to the last minute to pay your taxes, you must go into the post office and get it hand canceled if you want to be sure that it is treated in a time as timely by the time it gets to my office. It might take another week to get to me, but if it has that postmark on it, it's considered on time, okay? Really, really important. A couple of people got bitten by that this year, and there's just no way to know when it was mailed if you don't make sure that you get it hand canceled, okay? Really important. The second point I wanted to make is, I say this every year, but it's so critically important that you get your homestead declaration in on time. On time means April 15th. If you get an extension on your taxes, that is not an extension on your homestead declaration. You will still be penalized if it's received in Montpelier between April 15th and October 15th. If it's after October 15th, it will not benefit you, okay? A few people last year paid thousands of dollars more in education taxes than they should have, okay? So make sure that you or your tax preparer gets your homestead declaration in on time. To make that easier, by the way, this is my third thing, we have our redacted tax bills are now available on our town website, shaftsburyvt.gov. If you or your tax preparer finds that you want to do your homestead declaration and you threw out your tax bill, which you're not supposed to do, all the information that you need to do your homestead declaration is on these redacted bills that you can find on our homepage of the town website. Okay? That's all I got. Any questions about anything I just said? Okay.
Now's your opportunity. She's got all the knowledge. She's our treasurer. If you got any questions about how we do our taxes and such, let me ask you, that homestead declaration, there's actually a form on the Vermont Department of Taxes website, which is fairly straightforward to fill out.
Yes.
So that if somebody was to go to that website and look around, they can find that.
Yes.
And they file that with the town?
No, this is all the state issue. It goes with your state, usually it goes with your state income taxes. So if you have a tax preparer, it's completely ordinary. But it is separate. You can do it separately from your state taxes.
So even though you want extension, you still have to file that homestead declaration by the 15th?
That's correct.
You don't get to file that?
No, you can get an extension on your taxes. That does not apply to your homestead declaration.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions or comments or concerns with regard to the Article 2? Article 2 is, shall the town authorize collection of taxes on real or personal property by its treasurer, which are due in hand on or before Tuesday, November 10th at 5 p.m., or likewise postmarked no later than November 10th. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. It's so ordered. Okay, Article 3. Shall the town appropriate the sum of $3,221,460.25 to defray the town's general and highway expenses for fiscal year 2027, the amount of such sum to be raised by property taxes and to be reduced by non-tax revenues and reserve funds. I need a motion to that effect. Can somebody make a motion for me? I got a motion. How about a second? Got a second. Got a bunch of them. All right, we'll open the floor for discussion. That budget is on pages 22 through 36 of our town report. And that's essentially what we're voting on. Naomi, do you have some more?
Yeah, I'd like to say a few things about it.
Come on up, some comments on that before we take from the general floor.
And Jen, do you have that pie chart?
Yes, I do.
Oh, thank you. So we are proposing a budget, much like many of the other towns in the area, that proposes approximately a 9% increase over last year, which is something we struggled a long time with. It reflects the costs of everyday goods and services going up, basically. And it also reflects some long overdue staffing upgrades, which I'm going to talk about a little bit. And one note first, you'll notice that this year the community appropriations do not appear on the budget. And anybody who was here last year will possibly remember that there was a kind of epic argument between Tim Scoggins and Lon McClintock about whether that belongs on the budget, because if it's on the budget, as it has been for the last few years, then we're voting on it twice, said Tim. We're voting tonight, and then we're voting again tomorrow on those appropriations line by line. So we looked into it, and the Vermont League of Cities and Towns said that, lo and behold, they are both right. It's either one is legal, but Tim's way seemed easier and better on a kind of bookkeeping grounds. Right? So that's. So here are, I just want to point to some of the most significant factors in that 9% increase, and then open it up to you. We have added to this budget a line for an additional member of the road crew. And I think Paula will probably like to talk about that.
Yes. Mike Yanati has requested another...
You need to be closer to the mic, Paula.
DPW foreman Mike Yanati has requested another full-time person because he is in the trucks all the time during snowstorms, etc.
They can't hear you.
So that works. I don't have it. I think I'll just get this mic. I'm good. I'm not going to come out to a mic. Thank you. I think that's close enough. Here, we'll double you up. Thank you very much.
Don't get them too close together, you're going to get feedback.
Well, this one's not working, I don't think. No. Does not work. Okay, can you hear me now? You can hear me? No? I'll scooch over. Scooch over, Mike. Can you hear?
Pull that towards you a little bit.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? All right, I can hear me now, so I know you can hear me now. Okay. DPW foreman Mike Yanati has requested, again, another full-time DPW crew member. And the reason is, you've seen how busy they are this winter, right? For instance, in all the snowstorms. What's happening is, for instance, Mike is in a truck doing his own plow route, and inevitably something happens to one of the other trucks. Someone's broken down, something breaks, something happens out in the field. Mike has to abandon his plow route, get out of his truck, scramble, and go fix the thing. And he's also doing the administrative tasks of running the DPW crew. So he kind of has asked every year, and the can has been kicked down the road. So he requested it. I put it on the budget for everyone to decide. So that's why we did it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've also included increases to staff HRAs, health reimbursement accounts, as an attempt to offset for staff the ever-rising cost of medical care. The cap on submitting for those HRAs in the town of Shaftsbury staff has not been lifted since 2020. So 6 years have passed with no functional increase in people's eligibility for that reimbursement. And in relation to increased, I'm sorry, I think I'm a little nervous. We've increased staff hours, and there's a big increase in salary. And that increase is due to two things. It's due to, first of all, an increase in staff hours. And the increase in staff hours has partially been responsible for an increase in the HRAs, because the people whose hours have been increased have thereby become eligible for health insurance. So that's a circular thing. We are also proposing a 5% pay increase, 5% salary increase. And that is partly because people are doing way too much. The people are working overtime doesn't even begin to explain it. People are being paid the same salaries as they were, but they are doing much more work because the state is requiring enormously increased amounts of reporting and paperwork and all of that. So we could either add additional staff, or we can pay the existing staff more. Okay? But we have to do one or the other. 5% is a big increase to ask, and we had considered proposing a 3% increase. But then when we looked at the numbers, and you all can of course decide this, right? But when we looked at the numbers, we realized that the influence on the overall budget was going to be the difference between giving these hardworking folks who keep our town going a 3% increase versus a 5% increase was going to be a difference of 1% of the overall budget. And that didn't seem very significant to us compared to 2% of a person's salary. Right? But yeah, again, you can make that decision yourself. Did you want to say anything about that, Paula?
Not really. I think you pretty much covered it.
Okay. Finally, we've not provided an estimate of tax increase this year because the property tax reappraisal is not completed. And the new grand list will provide us with that information, but we don't have it. That information should be available and announced in July or August. Is that correct, Melanie? I'm sorry. End of May. Thank you, Gina. Good. So now, pass it on to you.
Okay, we're still on the budget. Mr. Connolly, I think you came up to see me, if I've got the right name, you came up to see me in the beginning about a mathematical error or an omission in some of the budget. Yes. Come on. Yep. Do I have the wrong name? I apologize.
Ed Connolly.
Okay, Ed. Yep.
I pointed out that there was an error.
Come up.
Thanks. The budget presentation starting on page 22 has an error. The list of community appropriations on page 36 omits the $5,000 request from Turning Point Recovery Center as listed in the warning. The $40,575 at the bottom of pages 35 and 36 should read $45,575. The $2,851,085.25 current tax revenue at the top of page 22 and the bottom of page 35 should be increased by $5,000 and read $2,856,085.25. The figures in the warning are correct and are not affected by this error.
So to not go through the mathematical computations between what's in here, if I understand you correctly,
Yeah,
these mathematical errors are how it's reported in the town report.
you're right, in the budget area.
Areas. But what we're voting on the warrant article,
Right.
that's a correct number.
That's the correct number because that does not include the community appropriations.
Okay.
The community appropriations get taken care of tomorrow. See?
Are they on the budget, are they on the ballot for tomorrow? That one that you're talking about being missing?
Point, I did not see the ballot, but I assume it was.
I can check.
It's on the warning.
This,
Yeah, I can confirm that Turning Point Center has an appropriation of $5,000 on the ballot.
On tomorrow's ballot?
Yep.
Okay.
You're, let's see, because what you've got there, it's only got 24. The one in here,
Do you actually have the ballot in front of you?
I have a sample ballot in front of me.
How many are there, how many articles are we voting on tomorrow?
For appropriation,
Actually, the total number at the bottom, including town officials and all that, is number one. Are we on 24 or 25 articles tomorrow?
24 appropriation, 25 appropriation.
Okay. So that's
this warning you've got here?
Yes.
That's not what's in the published booklet. The published booklet has 25 items.
this booklet?
If that's the published,
Yeah, this is the published one. Please bear with us. This is what's actually in the, yep, 25.
25 here.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Shelley. The town report, this one, as published, and what is on the website, has the warning that we're operating off from today. The town website also has a separate single warning, not part of this, single warning, which is an error. It only has 24 articles listed. That's just, I guess, just a point of order to say that if you were to look at it, there's an error there. But it's still, it's de minimis. It's not going to matter because the total budget number is the right number. Any other questions or concerns or comments about the ballot or the budget? Yes, sir.
Question. That the 24 budget, 25 budget, we spent more than we budgeted. Where did that money come from to cover the shortfall? On page 35.
Paula, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'm looking for page 35. Which figures are you talking about, the 24?
The 24 and 25 budgeted
Expenses.
versus expense. Expenses are more than what we budgeted for, so how did we cover the shortfall?
I would think we covered shortfalls through did we get loans that year, Melanie? I came in the middle of 24.
In Suffolk County, you carry a fund balance, which would be the equivalent of a profit in a for-profit company that carries over from year to year and diminish.
Melanie, could I ask you to come up here and explain that? I think it's something that everybody needs to hear. I'm sorry, if you could.
In a perfect world, if your expenses and your revenues are exactly equal, then your fund balance would be unaffected. In a year where the expenses are greater than the revenues, then the fund balance will go down a bit and vice versa. So when we spend more money than we budgeted, it decreases the fund balance. As long as we're carrying a fund balance, that can happen. If it goes down to zero, that would be a problem.
So where does the fund balance show up in any of this?
It's in the financial report from the professional auditors, I know for a fact. It's in my report. I report on the how the fund balance has been affected, if you look at the treasurer's
So
report.
that's just money we keep there for rainy days, basically?
Sort of. That's a way to think of it. And the accountants want you to carry enough to get you through a bad storm, for example, or whatever. You should have a bit of a cushion there, if you can.
Okay, thank you.
I think somebody just said page 14.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments, concerns about our budget?
There's one back there.
Yes, sir.
Just for clarification, do all the employees, part-time, full-time, get full medical benefits? Do we pay, does the town pay
No.
full medical benefits? They don't. How does that work?
Employees have to be working a minimum of 32 hours in order to be considered full-time, and not all of them do. Some of them are part-time.
Okay. So you said there was an increase of staffing, is that correct? Staffing hours?
Yes,
So how
yes.
many did we move from part-time workers to full-time workers that we have to pay the full medical insurance?
2.
2.
One this fiscal year and one next fiscal year. They kind of happen in 2 different ones. And one is because she's now wearing 2 hats. So that's why her hours went up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And these full-time workers, it's a family plan if they have children and
It
that's...
depends. It's according to their situation. If they're single, or if they, there's employee plus one, and they have family plans.
Okay, so if they're working full-time, they have a family,
Yes.
then their medical is paid completely by the town? Okay.
Well, they have their own they're chipping in their own. Like I'm on their medical plan. I pay some of that as well.
Oh, so full-time employees do pay something into the medical?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And the new worker that's coming on board for the highway department, you said it was one worker? I did some very quickly math. I see an increase of about $79,000. Is that correct for that one worker, or are we adding some other things in there?
That has to do with the comprehensive for one DPW worker. That means a CDL physical, that means health insurance, that means their HRA, and the HRA costs have gone up a little bit. It's comprehensive, dental, vision, health insurance, kind of everything. The DPW does a little more because we pay for their CDL physicals, some of their training, if they need certifications and such. So we take all of that into consideration.
Okay. And the HRA for most of the employees, the town pays in some, does the employees also pay in some to the HRA?
The HRA is what, it doesn't work like an HSA. It's not a health
doesn't
savings
work.
account. It's a reimbursement. So say a couple is on it and they have a cap of $4,000. So if you have to pay a copay at the doctor or for surgery, you get reimbursed for that up to that cap. We find that most of the employees don't use it to the cap, especially the DPW guys. Some of them are quite young and they don't have a lot of medical expenses. So while those the estimates for the cap are higher, that's kind of an inflated view of what that's going to cost because the vast majority of us don't go to the cap. It's just there as kind of breathing room if they need to.
Okay. And the last question is, with pay raises, it's not a merit raise. It's kind of, you're doing across the board. Everyone's getting 5%. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you don't do merit raises, as to how someone does their work and...
There's been conversation about it, and it's ongoing. That can get a little tricky with some departments, so it's ongoing conversation.
Can you explain more? What does that mean by it's tricky with some departments?
Specifically the DPW crew, and just some of the politics there that I'm not at liberty to discuss right now.
Okay, I'm a little bit confused then.
That's okay. Yeah, it's just managerial issues and different ways of doing things. The DPW crew getting a 5% raise, especially across the board, is because they have so many opportunities in the area to make way more money than they are.
Okay.
And it's become kind of apparent that if they aren't compensated fairly in this economic climate, we're going to lose a lot of them. And we have a lot of really great guys with all of the certifications, and we want to keep them.
Okay. And I would assume there's no union in...
There is not.
There's not.
No.
I think that was about it. So thank you, appreciate all the...
You're welcome. Thank you for your
Thank you.
questions.
Thank you. Some other comments, questions, concerns regarding our budget? Yes, Karen?
Hi, Karen.
I had some very similar questions to those that the fellow just asked. I wondered, in terms of the highway, in the past, we've often hired someone part-time for the winter season, because that seems to be, unless we have lots of construction projects going in the summer, there was a need for the additional person. Are we planning, and I couldn't tell from the Highway Department report what was planned for this coming year. It looks like you're upping the paving budget, taking out of the reserve. And I wondered if it was not just winter, but throughout the whole year, because it is a significant impact on the taxpayers to
Right.
add one more full body with benefits and all of that.
Yeah. The last time we hired a DPW person, I think it was like, we thought about it about a year ago, we were having trouble finding a part-time DPW crew member, because if you're a young man or woman, popped out of the trade school and have all your certifications, you're looking for full-time work. It's actually very difficult, we're finding, and Mike found, to find a part-time DPW crew. We have some retired folks from the DPW crew that do come and help out. But we haven't been able to find anyone part-time, and that's the part of that question I can answer.
Okay. The other confusion that I had has to do with the percentage increase that we're being asked to bear. And I know that it mentioned in the report that we were looking at, looking around the area, and everyone seemed to be, we're in the ballpark of 9%.
Yeah.
When I look at last year's amount to be raised by taxes, and I look at what we're asking to raise this year, that's looking more like 14.5%. And when I compare the budget for this coming year and the budget we had for last year, it's a little over 11%. So I think it's really important, for folks to
Yes.
understand that we are going to take a hit this year. We're going to take a big hit, I think. I don't know what the reappraisal is going to look like, and that may cushion some of it, but, I've never been anybody, nobody would ever think that I would say we should take a look at salaries and determine, can we afford 5%? I know that the average is around 3.5%. And from what I'm hearing, our insurance rates are going up. I don't know what the percentage is, and I know that our employees are paying in. I don't know if they're increasing their contribution to their plans. It's fairly generous as I look at it, along with an HRA. And I think we paid our employees 5% last year, and, we've tried for years to bring them to parity with some of the surrounding areas, and I thought we were there. And I'm not seeing anybody offering 5%. And I just kind of like to know, if we went to a 3.5%, what would that be? Because if we made any changes tonight, we can't say we're taking it from this particular place or that particular place. And I don't know if you have a sense of, because when I just ran numbers and I looked at what the tax rate was for last year, and I took the grand list. I understand we're going to have a new grand list. But if I look at, budgets and grand list, if we took this same budget and we put it against last year's grand list, it would be about 6 to 7 cents more than we were paying in our increase last year. So, I think it's really important for you to give us as much information as you possibly can, because there's nothing in here, and I understand you can't do it because we're in a reappraisal, but we don't know when we vote for this budget what it means for our taxes.
Right.
And it's going to be it's going to be over 10%. There's no question in my mind as I look at these numbers. So, you know, I don't know where to go with this, to be honest. I don't know if we say, you know, we'd like you to take, you know, $25,000 out of this somewhere, and that's going to save us maybe a penny on the tax rate. I don't know what that equivalent, what a penny on the tax rate raises in today's, you all probably know, you should. I don't know what it is. The last time I was on the board, it was 14 cents, you know, so I don't know. I'm not ready to put forward a motion to decrease it by a certain amount, but I just think it's really important as we go forward to understand that, you know, people are struggling, and we're all being asked to pay more, and, you know, Naomi said we decide tonight whether it's 3%, 3.5%, 5% for employees, or, you know, what's the magic number, I don't know.
Yeah, when I did the calculations, and Naomi spoke to this earlier, the difference between the 3% and the 5% is 1% of the budget. It is about $25,000 from the bottom line. Yeah. And it's a discussion, and, you know, if the full-time DPW position is also, you know, these are things that we need to discuss, and I will keep putting it on there because Mike has asked for it, but ultimately, it's not up to me.
Again, I think it's us. It's what people feel they can afford, and, you know.
Absolutely.
I'm not ready to put a number out there right now. Maybe somebody is and thinking about it,
Yeah.
but
That's why we,
I'm looking at a 14% increase in the amount to be raised by taxes. The difference from last year is an increase of 14%. So, because we're getting less revenue coming in from the feds and everybody else, so we have to make that up. And you know, I hate to see us go into some sort of a deficit situation.
Yeah. We worked with the budget with 3% and 5%, so that's kind of why, to look at those considerations.
Yeah, as I said, we did discuss that and in depth, and where we came down on it in the discussions were that the amount of difference it made in the individuals' salaries and lives was probably worth the amount of overall difference that it made in the overall budget. But again, it seemed like a moment in time when it's not something perhaps that the select board should decide for people. Perhaps it's something you should decide for yourselves. So we came with those numbers.
So tonight, I mean, the way it would work, Tom, is if somebody offered a motion to reduce the budget, it'd have to be a number, right?
Yes.
Put forth a motion to reduce it by X amount.
Yeah, it would be an amendment to
It's your
the,
job to figure out where to take it from.
Yes.
Yeah.
it'd be an amendment to the main motion that we've got on the floor right now, which has a certain number in it.
Okay, I'm going to let anybody else.
Thanks, Karen.
Yes, sir. State your name for the...
For the record, Bill Sargent.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Could you address on the DPW budget, construction and equipment expenses? Did you budget them up, even, down? And where's the construction money going for this coming summer season? Can you give me it's probably right in your budget there somewhere, but it's hard to look.
That's
real
okay.
fast.
I can look at it as
I
well.
mean,
Are you talking about like the individual trucks?
equipment,
Equipment would be like the, you know,
trucks.
truck one, truck two,
Yeah,
truck, Mike has them all numbered.
Mike has them all numbered.
Yeah.
And can you tell me, are you budgeting any new trucks, any new graders, any new bulldozers? The guys do a tremendous job.
They
with
do.
what they have.
They do.
I do this stuff every day of the week, and I know that, you know, you're talking about salaries. I deal with it every day in the forestry industry, and they're skyrocketing every day. And I understand why we need to go up. I'm looking to rob Peter to pay Paul somewhere else.
Yeah.
If there's a construction project, we could postpone for 1 year, 2 years?
Any
Is there a-
construction project, sorry to cut you off, any construction project, they seem to just be road paving, which we get significant grants for.
Yes, you
Like,
do.
no road gets paved without a really big grant. I don't know what's on the docket for this year because the grants are still being approved.
Yeah.
I don't know of anyone in particular.
They-
There are no new trucks on the horizon. We're just hoping for a new chipper, I think.
They did a tremendous amount of excavating, grading, ditching.
Yes.
Culverts this last summer.
Yeah,
That's a big expense, and the town did it.
Yeah.
The crew did the bulk of it.
yeah.
I mean, is there any projects like that?
That's an ongoing
That's
project.
an ongoing
It
thing.
is.
Yeah.
Well, we ramped way up
Yeah.
since COVID.
Yeah. One of the reasons the
And
paving
that-
budget went way up is because the auditor came in and said, you don't have enough in there, you need to bulk it up because of the matching of the grants for the paving of the roads, so,
And I know on the west side of town, it's made a huge difference. It's tremendous difference,
Yeah.
the ditching. So, that's all. I'm just looking for a way to rob it from somewhere.
I get it.
Thank
Get
you,
it.
thank
Thank you.
you.
Thanks, Bill. Yes, Pam?
Can you hear me? Okay. Amy Smith, follow-up question to Karen's. Have you thought about, instead of doing an across-the-board 5%, I've worked with staffing and salaries and budgets every year with nonprofits and organizations. 5 is a huge amount to do across the board for staffing. Have you thought about a more nominal one and doing merit bonuses? Once you bump an entire town salary up 5%, you're not going down. That's your base rate now. So if you do a 2% or something like that and then do bonuses for appropriate, at least then from year to year, you have more control over your overall expenditures. Has that been discussed at all?
That has not been discussed, but that's a really good idea, something to definitely think about.
Okay.
Also in the process of rewriting all the job descriptions and getting a good handle on those and just making a comprehensive, like, this is what everyone does, so everyone knows all of the work that everyone across the board does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
Just
good
trying to
idea.
think of ways of
That's
bringing things down if we could.
worth thinking about, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Mr. Tim?
Tim Scoggins. I would just speak, I guess, in support of the Select Board's decision to try and keep and attract and retain the employees that they have, especially on the road crew. I don't think I'm the only one that's noticed that the roads have gotten better in this town in the last 5 years. And as a previous speaker spoke to, having a regular ditching program is a big part of that. Seeing the guys out there, doing work in the winter on my road, on Rollin Road, they're out there filling in the dips where the drainage has sunk over the winter. But that goes back to the fact that they've done those drainage works in there in the last few years so that my road during mud season doesn't turn into soup like it has if you go back 10 or 15 years. If you talk to any employees in the area, they'll tell you the hardest thing in this area is the labor market and finding employees who will show up and can do their jobs. And so
Yeah.
I think what we're talking about here is, probably in the realm of tens of dollars per year per taxpayer, the difference between 3% and 5%. And I think on any given day, I would pay $10 not to have my road turn to soup. And I think a big part of that is having employees that are good and you can trust, and the way you get those is by compensating them for what they're worth.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, sir.
I'm John Drake. The national inflation for last year, as of December, was 2.7%. And I feel it's incumbent on the board to readdress the 9% increase that they're proposing. And I don't know, is it possible to make a motion or suggest a motion that the increase for next year be no more than 4.5%?
That wouldn't be something that let's see, that would have anything to do with this year's budget. That's something that would be appropriate under other business. We're dealing with a number today, which is for a known set period of time, based on certain historical expenditures and assumptions that they've made. Any actions that we take, direct actions that we take, would be reflected in the number that we're voting on tonight. I think that is something that we could take up under other business, a non-binding type of resolution. And it also might go to something which is a little bit different, if I could, for just a moment. Select Board meets how often?
Twice a month.
Twice a month. And your agenda is generally available ahead of time on the website. Mm-hmm. And that agenda spells out when you're discussing budget items, payroll items, these matters like the last several questions that have come up. Those are when we would know ahead of time.
We actually had, I think it was 3 budget hearings this year, right?
I'm sorry, 3 budget meetings?
Yep.
So you had 3 select board meetings that were
devoted to the budget, yes.
The budget.
Yes, and they were warned in due process, in all the places that we warned the meetings.
Okay. All I'm thinking is that there are a lot of really good questions that are occurring, and many times it used to be difficult to know when's the select board going to do anything, just because it was tough to get the information. But now with the website available, we can see when they're going to be in the discussions and acting on the substantial items like you're talking about. I know that they would welcome the townspeople showing up at those meetings to say, hey, this is what we think. A lot of times I think they're trying to second guess and try to figure out what all of us want. We're all too busy working and not showing up at their meetings. So I know that's a long way around to answer your question, but maybe that gives some information.
Well, thank you for considering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Some other questions or concerns about the budget? Yes, sir, in the back.
I emailed it to her.
The budget at $3,171,460.25. That's a decrease of $50,000.
Okay, hold on just a second. You're proposing an amendment. Tell me that again.
$3,171,460.25. That's a decrease of $50,000, which I think our select board can figure out, at least a start. I agree with the gentleman with the 4.5, we're at 9, we were 9 last year. So let's try it, see what we can do.
Okay, an amendment has been offered that the budget be reduced to $3,171,460.25. That's an amendment to our main motion. So that's what's going to be on the floor. If somebody seconds that, can I have a second for that? It's been seconded? Okay. So what's on the floor for discussion right now is that amendment to reduce the budget by $50,000.
Point of order.
Yes.
The second has to be from somebody else.
Yes, it does. And it was from somebody else. Yes. Okay. Some discussion? Yeah, we're on the, yep, we're discussing it. Yes, sir. Come on up.
John Rocky. While the idea of making cuts to the budget seems like a good idea, this is sort of like a, last ditch kind of 11th hour opportunity. I feel like if we were going to make amendments to a budget, we should have done that in select board meetings throughout the way when this was all being put together. I think doing it right now is just kind of haphazard, and we're just going to say, hey, cut $50,000 somewhere. It doesn't seem very responsible.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Carlin Mickle. I'm your zoning administrator and now your assistant town clerk. I'm one of the reasons this number is being proposed. I would like to know, what is the final increase in terms of people hours that we're talking about? Like, what's the number? $75,000 of increase in pay?
You have that column, right?
Yeah, I do. It was $25,000.
It was $25,000, and we have how many residents? About 3,400. That's $7.35 per person amortized per year, just so you know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Rick Bennett. I chair the Economic Development Committee for Shaftsbury. A couple of things. If I'm
move it.
Sorry.
Yep.
Better? Better? Okay, sorry. Rick Bennett. I chair the Economic Development Committee for Shaftsbury. If I'm not mistaken, Naomi made the point that the difference between a 3% increase and a 5% increase overall is a 1% change in our overall budget. So I think we answered a couple of those questions already by Naomi's point. And then I think we already answered the question of nuances based on Naomi's point. The difference between a 3% increase to these people and a 5% is overall 1% of the budget. In 2023, the approximately 52.5% of the households in Shaftsbury have an income of greater than $100,000. Not a huge amount in today's, but still, it's $100,000. What are we talking about? $10 a person? And also, I don't know, I think Paula may just tried to make the point, but CDL certification for these road people is not an easy task. And to get all of that together in one package is a big ask. So to try to keep these people at any cost seems worthy for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
So we've got on the floor the amendment, which effectively would reduce the budget by $50,000. The amendment to the main motion, that's what we're discussing. Any other? Yes, sir.
My name is Ron Murphy. Can you everybody hear me? I'd be the second person if that's the case. I am grateful for all the work that you've done, figuring out meticulously over a lot of time and effort to come up with a budget. I can't even do that in my own house. But, and I'm grateful for it. And there's no way that I'm going to say, chop off $30,000. I don't like that. I don't like the way that is. I hope that we can defeat this amendment.
Question's been called. What that means is we would go right to voting on the motion. No further debate. Do I have a second on call the question? Second. You guys ready to vote on the amendment to the main motion? That would be that the budget be reduced to $3,171,460,000, or strike that. $3,171,460.25. That's a reduction of $50,000 from the budget, which is proposed as the main motion. All in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. Okay, the noes appear to have it. The noes do have it. It's so ordered. So we're back to the main motion, which is appropriating the sum of $3,221,460.25. Floor is open for discussion on that. Or, if you're ready to vote on it. Okay, so motion's been made and seconded that the town would appropriate the sum of $3,221,460.25 to defray the town's general and highway expenses for fiscal year 2027. The amount of such sum to be raised by property taxes and to be reduced by the non-tax revenues and reserve funds. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And any opposed? The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it, and it is so ordered. Okay, we're going to go to Article 4, to transact any other non-binding business which may legally come before, this meeting at this time. I want to bifurcate this a little bit. There are a number of people here who want to speak on the appropriations, the community appropriations. I want to recognize those people first. There's another matter that's going to come up which will consume a good bit of time and may overshadow you folks. I think there's a half a dozen of you here that wanted to say something. Yes. Come on up to the microphone, please.
May I take this out here and face them?
Yep, that'd be fine.
Not that you're not lovely to look at. Good evening, all. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Karen Rose. Can you all hear me? Excellent. I run Monty's House Wildlife Rehab right here in Shaftsbury. I'm a resident of Shaftsbury. I have been licensed for non-rabies vector mammals since 2018 and federally permitted for songbirds since 2024. This is our third year on the ballot. We are looking for $1,000 in funding to offset the cost of basically running the rehab. I'm the only rehabber of any kind in southwestern Vermont, so I shoulder a very large load throughout the season, which will start here for me probably within the next month, and typically runs through October, although I still am overwintering. I have about 15 critters living with me over the winter right now. So the $1,000 that I request goes to offset the cost of general running of the rehab, which is the food for the critters. All the data for my spot is listed on page 71, so you can see the number of intake incidents that I've had from Shaftsbury and overall, the number of critters that I had released, and the number that are overwintering with me currently right now. The reason why I asked for appropriation funding is because although we are licensed by the state, there's about 22 of us throughout the state. We are licensed by the state through the Department of Fish and Wildlife. We receive no expense reimbursement or stipend or any kind of funding to run our rehabs. I have a full-time job, but a lot of the support comes from, like I said, for the past 3 years I've gone to the town, and from just the support of my community. So if you have any questions, I will stay a little bit after. I don't want to take up a whole bunch of time, but I will stay a little bit after. If you have any questions about me or the rehab or the critters, I'm happy to answer them. Also happy to go out if you belong to an organization or an entity that would like a speaker. I'm happy to go do that. $1 million question, free. I don't charge any kind of speaker's fee. So if you do have an event or something that you'd like a speaker to speak on rehab and what to do and how to mitigate human-wildlife interaction, happy to do that. So I'll stay afterwards. But I thank you in advance for consideration of a vote of yes to $1,000 for Monty's House. Thank you.
Somebody else on community appropriations?
This worked really good, right? Hi, I'm Cindy Luce. I am the Executive Director for Bennington County Habitat. I too am a resident of Shaftsbury and want to thank you all for your past support and ask for your consideration of appropriations for $1,850 we're on the ballot for. We are approaching our 30th year as an organization, and we have built 2 houses in Shaftsbury. I would love to open it up so too will stay late. If you have any ideas on land in the town, I'm always looking for land and opportunity for building affordable housing. So as we all know, that's an issue that we're all trying to resolve. So we are here, and we would love to be part of the solution. And again, we thank you for your past support. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Erin Labovitz. I'm a resident of Shaftsbury, and I'm also the director at Lake Perrin. I wanted to give you an update about the lake and what we've been working on since you graciously approved our appropriation in 2025. It's been 18 months since the tragic drowning of June Cooper at the lake. This terrible event will always impact our community and influence our operations at Perrin Recreations. We've been engaged in deep self-assessment and community engagement in order to determine how to move forward in a way that is both consistent with our values and responsive to our community. You may remember me standing before you at last year's town meeting to tell you about our plans and our hopes for the operations of the lake. Those plans were well intended, but forced to change significantly. In April, we learned that our insurance policy was being canceled, and we faced a significant challenge of finding new insurance. Luckily, we found a policy at the very last minute. It has very strong multiple restrictions as well as a significant cost increase. We secured this general policy and separate policies for our board and committee volunteers, our We Do boat and its operator, and we partnered with the Retired and Senior Volunteer Program to ensure our volunteers age 55 and older have insurance. Our new expensive insurance policy restricts some of our activities. The most significant limit prevents us from officially offering swimming. However, we can offer boating, go figure. As we know, people will always want to swim at Lake Perrin. They'll just now have to swim at their own risk, as we are not able to hire lifeguards. Signs throughout our property and on our beachfront will inform guests that there are no lifeguards on duties and all activities at the lake are at your own risk, similar to Lake Shaftsbury State Park. We also reconstituted our board of directors, hired a new director, implemented new policies focused on safety, recruited an active group of volunteers, and launched a fundraising campaign that allowed us to pay for our insurance bills and be able to function. Our board went through a strategic planning process, and we revised our mission. We're reworking our budget and fundraising to keep our doors open. Some revisions we've made to reduce our staffing hours. I technically only work 20 hours a week, but we all know I'm always there in Lake Perrin. Our volunteers do fill in and support when they can. We hope to expand our staff time and staff members once again as our financial situation strengthens, especially in time for summer. We look forward to once again hosting an AmeriCorps Vista member starting in August. We're also working on generating more revenue through community programming, facility use, and private event rentals. Our goal is to raise 25% of our operating budget each year through those rentals. We've always been stewards of the lake and an advocate for its sustainability. In order to strengthen attention to the needs of our watershed, we're part of initiating an effort to create a watershed alliance that encompasses the Perrin Creek watershed. This new organization, the Walloomsac Watershed Alliance, is a multi-organization partnership that will focus on care, improvements, and education, which will also allow Perrin Recreation to continue its role as stewards but not have to do it alone. Some other good budgeting news is that we've secured a private donor to cover the cost of removing aquatic nuisance weeds from the lake as permitting allow this summer. This is a great savings to our budget. Since reopening this winter, we've been astounded at the enthusiasm and generosity of our community. It's reflected in many ways, including raising over $50,000 in donations from June to October. Those donations went towards paying our insurance costs and replenishing our depleted operating budget. We host an amazing team of volunteers who put in oodles of hours each week as group leaders, gardeners, shovelers, bakers, policy editors, event hosts, etc., etc. From our ping pong club, weekly yoga and tai chi, our summertime me and you meals, to an Italian movie club, our lake house is bustling with activity every day. We have open lake house hours Wednesday through Sunday, 8:30 to 2:30, and we host lunchtime chat groups on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We're also hosting sober recovery groups on Fridays, and a caregiving support group will start on Tuesdays in April. We're hosting a boating safety course in the spring, and we'll still have boats for rent during our summer months. Our newsletter, website, Instagram, and Facebook pages can help you keep up to date on everything that's going on at the lake. We're so lucky to have so much community support, and we really hope to continue to earn your vote of support for our town appropriation. We're looking forward to a vibrant, safe, and fun spring and summer and fall at the lake, and we hope we'll see you there soon. Thank you very much.
Somebody else with appropriations?
Yeah, we lined them up.
Yep, I kind of thought so. Yeah, come up here, please.
Can everybody hear me? I feel unprepared following that amazing speech. My name is Dylan Johnson. I'm a recovery coach at the Turning Point Center of Bennington County. We are the only peer recovery center in the county, and we run the only men's transitional sober living facility in the county.
Excuse me.
No.
Technicality. He's not a resident of the town of Shaftsbury. Is it okay if he speaks on this matter? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I apologize. I live in Arlington. I'm right up the road, 5 minutes away from here. Yes, so since 2004, we have been focused on helping clients with alcohol and substance use disorder map out an achievable recovery plan and provide them with the coaching and resources they need to make progress. We are also the lead distributor of harm reduction supplies and information in the area. I know that I do all of the data, and I can say, for example, just in 2025, we had 277 clients that we provided 2,746 one-on-one recovery coaching sessions to. Recovery is really important to me. I think it's really important in this county. And it's been incredible working there, and I really hope people see the need, and everything we offer is completely free to the clients. We don't ask for insurance or money. We want to be there for anybody. We turn no one away at the door. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I'm Dr. David King. I'm no longer a resident of Shaftsbury, but I was for quite a while.
Yeah, I got to do the same thing. He was a resident here for a while. Last time he was working here was like a couple years ago. Is it okay if he speaks at, what are you speaking on?
The free clinic?
On the free clinic. Is it okay if he does?
I've been asked to talk about the G. Richard Dundas Free Clinic in Bennington, otherwise known as the Bennington Free Clinic. We see clients from the whole region who are either uninsured or underinsured. And last year we saw 217 people for a total of 582 visits. 7 of those individuals were from Shaftsbury. Our staff consists of 16 providers who volunteer their time and their talents. And we also have assisted people to get enrolled in insurance policies on their own. We sponsored the RAM Clinic, which is the remote access medicine, which is a two-day clinic period, which this year served 237 people for free medical, dental, and vision care. We conducted 38 domestic health assessments for refugee and asylum seekers from Afghanistan, Venezuela, Ecuador, Congo, and Eritrea, and most recently South Africa. The town funding helps pay for lab work, x-rays, prescriptions, medical supply, and equipment. I want to thank you all in the town of Shaftsbury for the continued support you've given us over the years, and also for the individuals of Shaftsbury who give generously donations to help fund our activities. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Gail Tiffany. I'm on the board for Sunrise Family Resources. Sunrise Family Resources is asking for your support again for $1,000 in allocation funds. When 29 years ago, when I was looking for daycare, Sunrise was one of the entities that I looked for to put my child in. They did not have room at the time. I associated them with just daycare. Last year, no, almost 2 years now, my daughter became employed by Sunrise Family Resources. She's the social capital coordinator, and her daughter goes to daycare at Sunrise. Through that relationship, I just learned how much Sunrise gives back to the community. Each county has a family child center. Sunrise is Bennington County's. They offer so much in programming. I'm sure there are many in the audience who, when they had their children, when they had their grandchildren, they do not come with manuals. Sunrise provides so much parenting education, resources to families. Two standalone entities that they support are the Warm the Children Fund and the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. Fundraising events throughout the year to support these events and programming. I ask that you support us in our allocation request and in any other way that you wish to in the future. Thank you.
I'm Alan Baker. I live in Shaftsbury. Last year after the annual meeting, a gentleman came up to me and said, "Don't ever say anyone can have a show on WBTN," because we tried to, we couldn't get on. So I wrote a letter to them. Copies are on the back of the table with the information now on who directly to apply to. It's a community radio station. The only way it works if community people get involved. You all have a passion, you all have an expertise in something. Here's your soapbox. You can come down and do your own show. And I'm sorry to the person last year who tried to do a show and could have got lost someplace, could have gone to the wrong mailbox, could be whoever they sent it to no longer is involved. They're all volunteers. So on the back table there, a little tear off, has 3 emails, 1 name, and 1 phone number. They're the people to contact. And it is a community radio station. Only the community comes in and does stuff. Just like all these folks that volunteer way more than they ever get paid for. Mr. Daly that does this every year. So if you want to do a show, come on down. The information's back there. Thanks.
Hello all. Thank you so much for making the potluck wonderful. Take some stretch breaks. There's a lot of cake back there and coffee as well. It's going to be a bit, so I feel like getting some sustenance is always important.
My name is Martha Cornwell, and I am speaking as the president of the North Shaftsbury Community Club, which is written on page 10 as the Shaftsbury Community Hall. It is kind of the North Shaftsbury version of the Grange that's here in Center Shaftsbury. It is a wonderful spot that has been going since the 1960s as a gathering hall for many of our community in potlucks and fellowship and lots of weddings and other things. It's a space that is available to rent, and Shaftsbury has very generously over many, many decades given the North Shaftsbury Community Club tax-exempt status. And so we are asking for you to vote again for our next 5 years of being a tax-exempt building, as we do for the Grange that's here in Center Shaftsbury. So thank you.
We're going to take a commercial break right now. This is to have to do with the appraisal that's going on in the town. Just an update. Go ahead.
We're coming to the end. We're going out every day and going through in front of everybody's house. So you'll see either Nimerick or the town of Shaftsbury in front of your house. And we're doing every single house. We're making sure we have all the correct information, all the correct, like if you have a 2-story house, making sure we have everything. The values will be coming out at the end of May. You're going to get a booklet. It's a lot smaller than the last one. The last one we had was like a newspaper. But it'll probably be like this, and it'll be folded up. It's going to have everybody's value, everybody's. It's going to have a place to do grievance if you want, to fill it out. If you have questions, just call me. I'm happy to listen. The whole point of this is to make sure it's fair for everybody and that we have all the correct information. If we weren't allowed inside your house, you're going to have to call to make sure that the information is correct, because the assessors have been finding mistakes, people having too many bathrooms, having a finished basement that wasn't finished, because people move in and move out. They haven't done the reappraisal since 2010. So we want to make sure we have the right information. And these gentlemen and ladies, they know what they're doing. They're highly educated. They're doing a good job. If there's something you have a question on, just call me. If I can't answer you, I will talk to the assessors and we will get back to you. But we'll have grievances. We'll have a pre-meeting to talk if you have questions that I can't answer, and they'll have like 3 days set up to do that. And then in June, end of June, we'll have grievances, full on grievances. So just keep that in your mind, and really, if you have questions, just call. We're happy to help.
Great, Deanna. Okay, now we're on the generic other business, town property when met. Anything that we are going to discuss or vote on or anything like that, it's advisory only. We can't take any binding action. I had a number of people who came up to me prior to the meeting on the same topic that they wanted to speak on. So I think we'll start and let's go down through. Rich, I think you were the first one that came up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rich Jorgensen.
And my name is Grace Winslow.
We're going to alternate speaking, so we may play with this a little bit. We're here tonight to talk about the apartheid-free community movement. So we're bringing, we're bringing some of the outside inside. This brochure is available. Tess on this side of the room has several Linda on this side of the room has several. And I'd encourage anyone who doesn't have one, pick one up on the way in, to please ask for one, because there's very important information. So I'm getting a signal to speak into the mic. How's that? Better? Julian? Okay. All right. So this is a tough topic. It's not so much in the news, but it certainly has been in the news a lot for the last couple of years. So we're going to get into a statement. Stick with us. We'll have an opportunity for a vote and certainly discussion. We're prepared to engage. So once again, my name is Rich Jorgensen, and greetings. I live on Bank Street and have for a number of years. Though recent letters and a commentary have criticized pursuing the apartheid-free community movement and pledge is not suited for action at the town level, indeed it is. We do not live in a community unaffected by what happens elsewhere in the state, nation, and world. This winter, 17 Vermont towns are actively pursuing making their communities apartheid-free. Last year, 5 already did so. The apartheid-free community movement is not just local or statewide, but international. The movement specifically addresses apartheid in Israel and equality for Palestinians, but also for all people. This February 2nd, a month ago, a group of fellow residents, several who are here tonight, brought the apartheid-free community pledge to the Shaftsbury Select Board. As our elected officials, they were asked to support adoption of the pledge. Our Select Board, consistent with previous proclamations condemning discrimination in all its forms, adopted the pledge at the February 17 meeting. A commitment reflecting the upholding of human rights, recognizing that from Vermont to Palestine, all people are equal and should be treated with dignity and respect.
Thanks. Israel has created and maintains a system of apartheid consisting of segregation, discrimination, and violence against Palestinians in all areas under its control and military occupation. It practices apartheid in practice. Apartheid in Israel includes random searches and detentions of Palestinian individuals or families at any time of day or night that often includes entire neighborhoods searched and all young men detained. Use of indefinite detention without charge or use of military courts for Palestinians rather than civilian courts, including for children as young as 10. Displacement of Palestinians by military or by settlers who either through apartheid rules like Jim Crow laws or illegal acts made legal by the apartheid government occupy Palestinian lands and buildings, blockade entire villages, attack Palestinian homes and families, destroy crops, and steal Palestinian livestock all over the West Bank. Restriction of movement within the Palestinian territories of the West Bank, where Israel has no jurisdiction. Restricting Palestinian access to medical care, requiring permits for specialized care, deliberate delay of emergency responses for those the occupation forces detain at roadblocks, and including those who they have mortally wounded. Denying access to water from wells or rain, forcing Palestinians to buy water from Israel, which limits Palestinians to 1/3 that it allots to Israelis. Deaths have resulted from these everyday acts of apartheid. They are crimes against humanity. That Israelis are not treated in these ways is what makes them apartheid. Israeli apartheid is a root cause of the genocide in Israel. The ongoing genocide in Gaza is not an isolated tragedy or a sudden rupture. It is the inevitable result of decades of dehumanization, apartheid, and the systematic denial of Palestinian life and dignity.
So what does this matter? For more than 50 years, the United States has provided the primary and essential support for these crimes. Israeli apartheid and genocide against Palestinians cannot be sustained without the support of our tax dollars, elected officials, and weapons. To that end, at Town Meeting 2025, a resolution was approved that all supply and/or funding by the U.S. government of weapons and military and logistical assistance to the regime of Israel must cease as long as Israel is engaged in the genocide of the Palestinian people. In 2024, Shaftsbury contributed over $215,000 to Israel, Bennington over $1 million, and Vermont more than $27 million. Since 1948, Israel has received more than $300 billion in taxpayer aid, more than any other nation. In 2016, the U.S. and Israel signed a 10-year memorandum of understanding that committed $38 billion, or $3.8 billion a year, to a state that constantly violates international law, and more than $20 billion since October 2023.
So we have a critical opportunity and responsibility to end our complicity with Israel's crimes, repeatedly documented and confirmed by the highest authorities on international law and human rights. Accountability for those crimes will make it possible to successfully oppose colonial violence and genocide elsewhere.
The Apartheid-Free Community Pledge will encourage future ethical decision-making considerations while leaving boards free to make financially realistic choices when necessary. Adoption would be non-binding. It will not create any legal or fiduciary obligations for the town of Shaftsbury. However, the next step will be to identify and implement measures that fulfill the Apartheid-Free Community Pledge to end all support to Israel's apartheid regime. Banking and investments and equipment purchases are first places to look for any connection with Israel's apartheid regime. Again, I want to emphasize this is non-binding. Tonight at Town Meeting 2026, in support of making Shaftsbury an apartheid-free community, we are asking you to affirm the board's decision by adopting the pledge. We affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and all people. We oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression, and we declare ourselves an apartheid-free community. And to that end, we pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israel's apartheid regime, settler colonialism, and military occupation. And with that, I would ask for a vote.
Before we can do that, to get this more into the framework of what usually happens here and everything like that, non-binding, is that verbatim what the board has voted on? Something of that nature? Is that what the board adopted?
This is it, right here.
Okay.
This is it.
The
This is
select
what
board.
This is what our board has adopted.
On February 17th.
That's correct.
So you have made a motion that that be affirmed at this meeting. Okay, we need a second for that.
Second.
Got a second. All right. Floor is open for discussion with regard to that before there will be any vote. Yes, sir. Yes, you may. Go ahead. Have a seat. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Carl Corman. In my previous life, I was chief counsel with the Corps of Engineers in Sacramento. My specialty was public procurement contracts. So I prepared some statement for this evening, which I will go over. However, I heard some information just now that frankly, I ask you to take with a grain of salt. We just heard that this town has given Israel over $200,000 in funds. I'm not aware of that. I don't know where that number came from. Unfortunately, in today's world, we're hearing statistics and numbers without any explanation. I ask you to keep that in mind. Also, we're told it was non-binding. I have the resolution here. It is virtually the pamphlet that was just shown to you. And it says on February 17th, the Shaftsbury Select Board voted to join the apartheid-free community movement. There's nothing in here that says it's non-binding. On 17 February, the board quietly adopted a major change in our town's economic policy. That change is going to alter the way this town contracts, if it chooses to live up to what it's pledging to do. And it's going to change the way we contract for equipment, for hardware, for services. The new policy threatens to increase cost of business for the town without any practical, physical, or financial benefit to the town. Instead, these costs will be incurred without the thought of what is in the best interest of Shaftsbury, not the political situation of a country on the other side of the world. The board's decision failed to consider the town's legal exposure. As an attorney, my favorite thing to turn to. Or the economic impacts on the town. Worse yet, their action was taken without the issuance of an adequate warning, which requires that there be notice of the material information that is going to be voted on. I didn't hear about that. I doubt that you did. These specific business operations are having a direct effect right now because it was voted on. This is a resolution of this town. It is on our website. The apartheid-free community movement is an action that we are all now living with. You don't need to approve it or not approve it. It's part of this town's rules. It is a resolution of this town. I am asking for a non-binding vote at this town meeting to demand the repeal of this resolution, since it does not represent the financial, the administrative, or even the legal interests of Shaftsbury. Specifically, the resolution commits the town to new operating procedures established by this outside political movement. To boycott, not Israel, boycott all the companies that Shaftsbury may deal with if they have not boycotted Israel. And to divest Shaftsbury of all its interests that may relate to Israel. Any company, any bank, any service entity doing business with that foreign nation in order to comply with its pledge, and it pledged. The board has resolved to seek only suppliers who boycott that foreign nation without consideration of the additional costs or service disadvantages to the town that may occur. Equally, the town is being asked to set up an administrative process to maintain its obligation under its pledge. So will all prospective contractors be asked to sign an Israeli boycott pledge before they can get a contract? And what if they won't? What if they won't? And then they don't receive the contract. Will we be exposed to possible litigation? Because we can't require a contractor to take a political position in order to get a contract. Indeed, nothing suggests that the board ever considered this, or even asked town council what these legal implications were. They just voted on it. I saw a video. It was brought up and voted on within less than 3 minutes. All of these elements of the board's pledge have the real potential to negatively impact the economic interests of Shaftsbury residents. Yet nothing in this pledge identifies any countervailing financial, practical benefits, or anything in the town's interests. Neither these impacts nor those liabilities were considered, let alone discussed, before the board committed the pledge. No other resolution of this town has ever made a commitment that could directly impact our financial status or the town's liabilities or expose it to litigation. Nothing before. These facts strongly suggest that the board did not comport with its fiduciary duty to hold the financial interests of Shaftsbury above political views, and having acted without the approval of the town, including a full discussion of the economic and practical implications of its commitment, the board did not act in the best interests of Shaftsbury, its residents, and thus exceeded its authorized duties. I am not asking you to consider a very emotional matter here. I'm asking you to consider an economic matter here. We all know there are very strong feelings on both sides, but a board should not be thinking of those. It should be thinking of what is in the financial best interest of this town. Therefore, although no new binding business can be introduced at this meeting, I request that a non-binding floor vote be called to request that the Select Board rescind its unauthorized resolution, and this request is made under the provisions that allow the moderator to transact other non-binding business as illegally may come before the town. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Isn't there already a motion on the floor?
Yes, there is. Yeah, there is. Yes, there is. We need to hear more from the Assembly because it's going to go a couple different ways here. This is all, because this is all non-binding and there's already something that the Select Board did, which is part of what's coming up here now, you know, for the Assembly to consider. We're going to get as much information as we can, and then we'll decide which one we're going. Go ahead.
Okay, my name is Curtis Merrill. I'm a Shaftsbury resident. Carl spoke at length about the possible legal implications for the town of Shaftsbury. I'm going to go into the little bit of emotional. This resolution solves nothing abroad but divides us at home. While the Select Board debates foreign policy, Shaftsbury families have contaminated water, rising property taxes, and housing shortages. Let's focus on what towns actually control: local services, infrastructure, and protecting our neighbors' quality of life. Apartheid is a cruel system of legalized racial domination. Vermont communities should oppose such systems, but invoking the concept against Israel alone is incorrect and deeply divisive. Israel is a multi-ethnic democracy with constitutional protections for every citizen. Reasonable criticism of government policies is reasonable, but to condemn an entire country for the policies of their government is not correct.
Take just a break for just a minute. Carl, can I talk to you for a moment? Kurt, can I talk to you for a moment? And Rich, can I talk to you for a moment?
Exactly. I too would vote.
Sure, why not?
I guess you could. The official there? What are you? I don't know when the official.
Okay,
finish line.
Questions? Yes. I've got somebody right here I recognize. Yeah, that one's fine.
Hi, my name's Tess. I am not a lawyer. I'm a human being. That's not against. I went to Vermont Law School. I don't practice law. I'm coming at this from a human being perspective. That wasn't a dig at lawyers. It really wasn't. It's just where the lens through which I'm thinking about this isn't legal. It's human. A couple things. I want to point to the language in the brochure that says, by taking the apartheid-free pledge, your community commits to taking action against apartheid. How to do that is up to your community and your context. So I think there is pretty clear language in the brochure that this is not legally binding agreement. Sorry, I don't like public speaking. I'm a little nervous. I would also like to point out that this was proposed to the board 2 weeks prior to the meeting they made a deciding vote on it. It was warned on that agenda. Many people showed up to that select board meeting. The select board took 2 weeks to do their own thinking, research about it. It was then warned on the next select board meeting agenda. It was not something that was decided in the moment. And that information was publicly available to everyone. So I think it's important to keep that in context. It wasn't some quick decision that was done secretly by any means. And it wasn't done in 3 minutes. It took weeks, actually. I might leave it at that. I have lots of things I could say, but I think that it absolutely is relevant to every single one of us, how our federal government decides to use our tax dollars. And I don't want my tax dollars committing war crimes. And I think that is absolutely relevant to every single human being in Shaftsbury and in the country.
I am not a registered voter in Shaftsbury, so I do request permission to speak, sir.
And you want to speak on what's currently on the floor?
Yes, sir.
What's your name?
My name is Lance Allen Wang, sir.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm
what town?
Well, I'm from White Creek, but I'm the president of Congregation Bethel here in Bennington.
Okay. Can we hear from him?
Thank you. Thank you to the Select Board for allowing me to address you this evening. My name is Lance Allen Wang. I'm retired from the United States Army, and I've also spent 12 years in local municipal government. I've served for 8 years as the president of Congregation Bethel in Bennington, Vermont, representing 55 local Jewish families. A local town board is a particular type of entity working at what I call the operational level of government. Town government is where the rubber meets the road and interfaces with citizens daily. The reasons for keeping issues that are out of the local government's purview out of town hall are many. To start with, as someone mentioned here, it pits neighbor against neighbor. When the political exercise is completed, it has achieved no end since it's out of the town's jurisdiction, but the damage is done to local relationships and dynamics, personally and sometimes professionally. During a period of unprecedented polarization, I see no good coming out of fracturing the ties among neighbors in a form that may be one of the few remaining government fire breaks, politically and socially. In over a decade in local government and literally hundreds of meetings from village to county, almost every local issue has been nonpartisan. Secondly, local government dabbling in national issues is a diversion of effort away from the core operational functions of a local government. There are plenty of core functions: administrative, financial, infrastructure, emergency services, the list goes on. Local government is not getting involved in international relations. Local government hasn't the benefit of any person appointed to handle international issues, and there's neither staff nor time to validate the claims of citizens who bring their foreign policy complaints to the local board. It just siphons away time, effort, and focus. This will become evident if the board gets swayed by materials devoid of nuance and with content that ranges from fast and loose with the facts to questionable assumptions to numbers with no basis in reality. Lastly, if the local government is making resolutions on contentious international issues, what of those who end up on the wrong side of the resolution? After the resolution, the town's employees, logo, and letterhead all look different. Do I need to watch what I say? If someone vandalizes one of my congregants' houses and, say, burns an Israeli flag that's up on Israeli Independence Day, can I count on justice from the town's court? There's much to be said for nonpartisan local government as a protector of freedom of expression in this regard. Now, this is not meant to be a dirge explaining why people should stay uninvolved in national and international affairs. I've been arguing in favor of involved citizens as long as I've been in public life. Healthy engagement in appropriate forums can be a benefit to a community. Rather than seeing rifts form in the community, formalized by the participation of town government in a polarizing, non-binding resolution, instead contentious issues like this can be used to build community. Engagement with state and national representatives on appropriate issues for their office can bring citizens together, help establish local rapport with elected officials, and ultimately can affect voting on state and national issues at levels where it actually has the potential to make a tangible difference. I'm also a strong proponent of being involved in organizations that engage in fundraising, lobbying, or volunteering to support issues that I care about. This provides another venue for energy and efforts directed towards engaging more directly with an issue. Those are just two examples of ways to build stronger community among those who fall on one side of an issue. The larger challenge is being able to build a stronger community among those who fall on different sides. It takes time, it takes commitment to open discussion, willingness to help others find common ground. It also takes a willingness to see each other as more than our political beliefs. And on some issues these days, that may seem to be asking too much. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Peter Bosco. I really don't have a dog in this fight per se, but I would like to, I'm against this in the sense that I don't think the should get involved with this. We don't really know the ramifications of what's going to happen. The million-dollar question is, does this thing really have any teeth? I mean, everybody likes to feel good, and, you know. Are we all in favor of being humane to animals? Everybody would say yes. So I don't really know what's involved per se, and I'd like to learn more about it. But having said that, we've got this situation going on right now with Iran and Israel. I'm opposed to it. We're always bailing Israel out. They have the largest political action committee in the country. The American Israel Political Action Group is AIPAC. They got an office right across the street from the Congress building. They virtually have 80% of all politicians in their back pocket. We have given them billions and billions and billions of dollars. Just last night, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, just last night I bumped into this story about, is anybody familiar with the Apollo effect? Look up Apollo effect on Wikipedia. It'll blow your mind. 1965, the Israeli government somehow got into a nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania called the Apollo nuclear reactor, and they stole 206 pounds of enriched uranium. They also got into other power plants and stole another 400 pounds of enriched uranium. They stole from us, and they made their own nuclear bombs. You know, it's a country of 9 million people, the size of New Jersey, and it's always something. I mean, it's always a headache. Politics runs the spectrum from the idealistic to the pragmatic. You know, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it just probably depends on how idealistic or pragmatic you are. We're all the same. I'm opposed to having the town of Shaftsbury meddle in this thing. This is a quagmire. We're going to go down a rabbit hole. We don't even know what it is. We don't really know if there's any teeth to this. I don't understand why we need to do this. So that's all I have to say.
Do you want to let under? Okay.
Hi, I'm Naomi Bindman. I feel like I've spoken a lot lately. I spoke at was it the February 2nd meeting when this was first presented, and I had a recent commentary in the banner, but I do have one point to make, which is that many of us as Americans have been speaking out about the escalating un-American violation of our rights, we call out the arrests and brutalization and murder of U.S. citizens, as well as the ongoing attacks against our constitutional rights of free speech, assembly, and religion, our right to bear arms, our rights to due process, and so on. Criticizing our country doesn't mean we don't love it. We criticize our nation because we love it, and because we love it, we want to make it better. We want, in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., to make real the promises of democracy. Speaking out is essentially and inherently American, patriotic. Yet, though we celebrate critical dialogue as the growth of our own nation, for many, absolutely no criticism of Israel is permissible. Any criticism is instantly equated with hatred of Jews and of Israel. This is a strange double standard. I ask those who profess to love Israel to take off your blinders, to recognize the shameful and brutal reality of Israel's war on the Palestinian people, and instead advocate for a truly just and democratic society as we demand of our own government. We need to hold Israel to the same standard of accountability as we do our leaders. It is time for all nations and communities to oppose apartheid everywhere. Please support the Apartheid-Free Community Pledge, and I thank the board for their vote.
You're not a citizen, where are you from? Glasgow. All right. You okay if he speaks? Yes, sure. Go ahead.
I just want to go back to the argument that anti-apartheid movements have no business in a small town. And I invite you to cast your mind back to the original anti-apartheid movement back in the 1980s, which started in small towns and on university campuses And it was resolutions in those communities that made large corporations in the United States start to divest of holdings and business with South Africa, and that's what brought down the South African government. And it started in situations like this. That's all.
Other? Yes, sir.
She's been waiting a long time.
Let me get her that.
Okay.
Is she speaking on this? Andrew's speaking on this?
We don't know.
Yeah.
She's the first one tonight. Right, okay.
Yes, I'd like
Hello, my name is Sean Paper. I'm not a resident.
Yeah. You're going to be next, Andrea. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Where are you from?
I'm from Cambridge, New York.
Okay.
Hey,
Yep, go ahead.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator, Administrator, Select Board. My name is Sean Paper, and I am a member of the congregation, Bethel. And I've been asked to speak because several people were afraid to. I moved here from Southern California a year ago. I went to Bennington College, and I'm also a Navy veteran. So I'm used to holding several truths at once. I've lived in worlds that don't agree with each other, and I know you can still build trust and have each other's backs. That's why I'm asking you to vote no on this AFC resolution. I believe in human rights and in protecting civilians everywhere, but town meeting is a place for clear, lawful municipal decisions, and our most legitimate actions are the ones we can actually administer. I read the minutes of the last Select Board meeting on February 17th, where it was said, supporting this pledge is just standing with pre-existing views the town already embraced, just being more specific. I'd like to speak directly to that. More specific isn't a minor clarification. It's a new political direction that labels one side with uniquely charged language and invites the town to take sides in a distant conflict, which predictably lands on neighbors here. It can also be read as a mandate for future procurement and banking fights. It's not a simple statement of values. I've seen resolutions like this up close. They don't change realities overseas, but they can fracture life here at home. I've watched it escalate from heated meetings to real-world fallout. In South Pasadena, there's a city council member whose home was targeted, vandalized. Her kids were home alone, and they were terrorized. And extra security had to be put in place at her house. Houses of worship, including synagogues and mosques, were vandalized with hateful language, hate speech, hate symbols, and in the end, a small minority in the community was singled out and made to feel less safe. And in the end, and in Shaftsbury, in the end, a small minority community was singled out. If Shaftsbury wants to reaffirm dignity and equal rights, let's do it in a way that brings people together. A general, even-handed commitment to human rights and anti-discrimination. We can choose something better. We can decide that in this town we don't reduce each other to slogans. We listen, we argue, we forgive, and we keep showing up for one another. I'm asking you to vote no, not out of fear or anger, but out of confidence that our community is strong enough, generous enough, and brave enough to hold all our differences and still stay one town. Thank you.
This is Andrew Baki.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Can you speak up?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Well, that's why we waited for you for last, because we don't know, because we had issues with Cat TV and the sound and the sound system, so speak up.
Can you hear me now?
The crowd has a very difficult time hearing you. But it's not your fault.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Andrea Baki. I have a disability and can't make it tonight, so after this topic, I'd like to speak later during public comments about that topic, but for right now, I wanted to address this very important topic that's being discussed, and I would like to say thank you to the last gentleman who spoke. I agree with a lot of what you just said. I would like to say that I think that this topic is so important that there's a lot of community input from the townspeople, and we can see that right now. We just heard from a lot of different people. The topic is important. I think that the town of Shaftsbury needs more transparency and more communication, and has a town newsletter, which I'm not seeing a lot of content come through frequently. And while there might be content like this on the website and the minutes, we all know that people don't have a lot of time because they're trying to put food on their tables and watch children and take care of their health. They can't always make it to the meetings, the select board meetings. And they don't always know where to find the minutes. And that's why I started the Shaftsbury Revitalization Digest, to help people understand what's going on in the town. When I find out about things on the website, I share them. But I think because I'm doing that out of my own good as a volunteer who doesn't even volunteer with the town anymore, because I had to resign recently because of a waiver that was just implemented, which the townspeople just also found out about, which I also just found out about. I would like to see the town of Shaftsbury bring more transparency with this kind of information that the townspeople have a right to know about, and not after a vote is cast by the select board. I would like to see the town of Shaftsbury create more communication about what's going on so that the townspeople can have input going forward. I think this is a very important topic, and that we should all have input, and no matter where we stand on a topic, we have rights, whether we have disabilities or not. We have rights, and we deserve to have our voices heard, whether we're a select board member or not. And I would like to ask the town of Shaftsbury, are you willing to be more transparent so that people in the town can have opinions and learn and grow and have conversations? The select board, as I understand, is supposed to represent the town's people and not be the only deciding group. That's what I thought. So I would like to ask the select board and the town if more transparency can come out in the form of the newsletter and in general, so people can have input going forward on all topics. That's my question.
Call the question.
Elsa?
I think she's done.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. I just heard call the question. What that is is there a second for that? We're going to vote on that motion, call the question. If we vote in favor, that means we cease debate and go to the main motion. If we vote down, call the question, it means we continue on with further debate on the main motion. And I'm going to tell you something, I don't know what the main motion is. To be honest, I'm not trying to be clear. The select board voted on February 17th, and it was a very comprehensive motion, I believe. By comprehensive, I mean there were a lot of pieces and moving parts to it.
We voted to adopt that pledge.
Adopt something that was more than a couple of paragraphs.
Yes, we voted to adopt the pledge as it appears in its entirety on the brochure.
Okay, and the brochure, you can have that, Carl. What appears on the website?
I believe the motion on the floor is to reaffirm the pledge that the select board took.
Right, that's what I'm trying to get to. What is it?
That was it.
As far as the floor vote is concerned.
And that is, they need to know what they're voting on. This could be advisory.
What they did. We don't have to have it.
Well, nobody knows what they did. I'm sorry, but I don't know what they did. So. That's all that the select board voted on? Well, they're looking at that. All those in favor of ceasing debate and moving to the main motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now what we've got in front of us is the main motion, which we need to vote on, and which I'm not sure what we're voting on. What I've been trying to do is between the different parties.
Can I speak just for clarification's point?
Yes, please, to clarify. That's what I'd like to know. What are we going to vote on?
So the brochure that people have in their hands that was handed out is what we had in our hands when we took this pledge as a select board. What it includes that I think was not included before is declaring your group apartheid-free is both a declaration of values, affirming that your community opposes Israeli apartheid and all forms of discrimination, and a call to action and committing to act as a community to dismantle U.S. support for Israeli apartheid and all other violence. Communities can decide what action is most effective for them. By taking the apartheid-free pledge, your community commits to taking action against apartheid. How to do that is up to your community and your context. You may do education and commit to speaking out and ensuring that Palestine is always included in our broader movement struggles. For many communities, this can also mean engaging in boycott or divestment actions. That is the statement we pledged to. We did not pledge to divest from anything.
What did you, go ahead.
I read you the end part of it. The beginning thing is the pledge. We affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and all people. We oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression. And we declare ourselves an apartheid-free community, and to that end, we pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israel's apartheid regime, settler colonialism, and military occupation. Including the latter part.
That's, yeah, what gentleman is stating is that was what the select board voted on. That would have been the select board's motion in front of them that they voted in favor of.
We voted to adopt.
You voted to adopt what you just read?
Yes.
Okay.
It is on your website. You voted to adopt the entire brochure.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, and that's why I read the end of it.
Okay, hold on.
Because the end
So-
of the brochure that we adopted, that we voted to adopt, specifically says, it defines how you can live up to this pledge, and it includes a statement that you are not required to...
By taking the apartheid pledge, your community commits to taking action against apartheid, which is identified only as Israel.
May I have that again?
Go ahead. Yep. Hold just a second.
Yes,
Yeah, just a second.
just to be clear, how to do that, the next sentence says, after what Carl just read, how to do that is up to your community and your context. You may do education and commit to speaking out and ensuring that Palestine is always included in our broader movement struggles. For many communities, this can also mean engaging in boycott or divestment actions. Can. Not
Hold on,
that
just a
it
second, hold on.
does.
Go ahead, Carl.
That's all I'm going to say.
What you just read was not the pledge. What you just read was an explanation of what you could do. The pledge was that you made a pledge to commit to taking action against apartheid. And they said, here's how you might want to do it. But you took the pledge to do it.
To take action. Yes. To take action.
By the select board making this decision, I understand from the rule that says what this decision
Can't hear you.
Could I ask you to come up to the microphone, please?
From what I understand, you had time to think about this and ruminate about it and make your own decision. However, by making this decision, you have pledged this entire Shaftsbury community to be in agreement with you by saying this community shall take action, may take action. May take action. Which one is it?
In taking the apartheid pledge, your community commits to taking action against apartheid. To taking action, not may take action.
Commit to.
The action may include divestment activities.
But you first of all commit to.
But much of the argument had to do with that you were making had to do with the divestment.
But you are
that seems to be what people have said about.
On behalf of the Shaftsbury community, you are committing us to take action. This is a very personal decision that should not be decided by a group of people that represent the community. To me, this is a personal decision that if I choose to stand with this, that's my personal decision. It is not something that any one of you should be making as a decision for me as a member of this community.
That's why people are being asked to vote on this.
We voted to end debate.
We don't know what we're voting on just yet.
We know what we're voting on.
This is just to clarify exactly what the pledge officially is. The pledge is the part on the front of the brochure here. We affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and all people. We oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression, and we declare ourselves an apartheid-free community, and to that end, we pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israel's apartheid regime, settler colonialism, and military occupation, period. End of statement. That is the whole pledge and nothing but the pledge, I swear to God.
Rich, is that the motion that you've made?
Everything beyond that is advisory.
The motion, well, this whole thing's advisory, but to be clear, the motion that has been made and seconded that we be voting on is that we affirm our commitment to freedom, justice, and equality for the Palestinian people and all people. We oppose all forms of racism, bigotry, discrimination, and oppression, and we declare ourselves an apartheid-free community, and to that end, we pledge to join others in working to end all support to Israel's apartheid regime, settler colonialism, and military occupation. That motion was made and seconded. Is that correct? Okay. Question's been called, so we're going to vote on it. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. And those opposed? No. I think it's almost even, but you know what? Somebody asked for a show of hands. How about a show of hands? All those in favor, please put your hand up and keep it there. Please.
So what are you in favor of?
Supporting our decision.
So you're supporting the pledge.
I'm not sure what I did.
Okay, hold on just a second.
What does this mean? What are we voting
In
to
favor of
say yes?
supporting this pledge, as I
We
read.
said yes, we're supporting that.
Yes.
We're saying no, we are not supporting that, but
You're
the select
opposing.
board, are we?
That's a different matter.
That's a different matter.
Yes.
So you're just asking us what we, A or nay,
Yes.
are supporting.
That's correct. We're not affirming anything they did. All right. Well, some of that was my,
No, actually, I think the motion was to affirm it.
One with the other incident here, either yea or nay, and then we're going to ask about the board that said here.
that's not even in front of us. Right now, what's in front of us is what I just read.
All right, go ahead.
Okay?
You're asking us personally if you're affirming that much?
Yes. We're asking for.
No, this is the motion that's on the floor.
But that's the question, is the motion, are you asking the public, are we affirming the pledge, not supporting what the select board did? This all has to do with the pledge.
That statement that I just said, yes.
Was that the original motion?
Yep. Okay. Everybody that supports the pledge, hands in the air, please.
We're asking this audience to affirm the board's. That's not the motion that was moved and seconded.
Okay, what did they, all right, come on, you're the one that made the motion, get up here. What I want you to do is I want you to tell this body with specificity what they are voting on. Who seconded his motion?
2 minutes.
You did, okay. No, let me give him what he needs so we can understand. All right, go ahead. Clarify it, please, what your intent is on the motion.
All right. Read it exactly. Ready? Okay. So tonight at Town Meeting 2026, in support of making Shaftsbury an apartheid-free community, we are asking you to affirm the board's decision by adopting the pledge. You adopting the pledge affirms the board's decision.
Right. All right, now, please bear with me. That's the pledge, what I read.
The pledge you've heard several times. It's on this card, this brochure. I'll read it again.
Well, we're good with that.
You're good with that, okay?
Yes, go ahead.
So you are asking us to vote on whether or not we agree to what the board decided to do. No.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
To affirm the decision. You're being asked to defer.
in a way, it's two.
Yes.
So you're affirming the board's decision to adopt the pledge by yourselves adopting the pledge.
No, you can't.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I said.
And then you're also asking what your site is.
Yeah. Your agreement is an affirmation of the board's decision.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Well, you know what we could do is we could divide the question. And actually vote whether you affirm what the board said, and then whether you affirm
They're one and the same.
the statement.
No, that's what we've done.
No, they don't think it's
There's a personal decision here that probably every person in this room would say, no, we don't approve of discrimination, of apartheid in any form, in any place, in any country.
Yes.
We don't approve of it in our country. But we don't, that's different than saying that we will take this pledge that only pledges against one country when it happens in the whole world, many countries. And the board had no right to take this pledge which is an individual's decision and a very personal decision which opens up a lot of discrimination in this community. By taking this pledge as a board, you opened up discrimination in this community against only one people, not against everyone in the world. Everyone in the world, including our own president, who is discriminatory.
We voted to end debate on this.
So if I divide the question, it's not anything about personal. It is whether or not you affirm what the board said,
Yes.
and then whether or not you affirm that.
Vote on the question.
This is original.
Yeah.
You all hear that? So you're going to make a motion.
I make a motion to table the vote.
Vote,
And
yeah.
I make a motion that the assemble vote on whether, on voting for the board to rescind the resolution.
Second to the motion to table this. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion to table.
Okay, thank you. All right.
I make a motion.
Yes.
I move.
No, we're tabling.
No, that's, wait a minute, I skipped something. All right, all those in favor of tabling the current motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. The ayes appear to have it, the ayes do have it. You want to make another,
I make a motion that the assembled vote to have the board rescind their pledge to support whatever that may
do I have a second?
Yes.
All right, got a second. You want to vote on that or you want to talk about it? Okay. All those in favor of
be. Having the board rescind their pledge to this resolution.
please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I saw someone who's not a member of this community. Color division. I can't speak.
How about everybody that's in favor of that motion?
This gentleman over here said aye. I saw him.
Please signify by putting your hands up in the air.
Please say the motion.
What did you make
And I can't tell by the voice vote which prevailed. The vote was on the table of the motion that we were all talking about. We had another motion that came up and seconded to tell the select board to recommend that they rescind their vote. That's all we could recommend. And what I got yays and nays, and quite frankly, I can't call one way or the other. So I was asking for a show of hands. Okay. So the show, do we understand what the show of hands is for? Yes. Okay. Everyone in favor of telling the select board to rescind the vote, put your hand in the air, please. Everybody opposed? The ayes have it. They count. Anticlimactic. I don't know. Anything further? I didn't a motion to adjourn. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
This is what I was going to say, but I realized that we weren't going to speak.
No.